Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson, a World Alternative Media here, and of course we're joined by author and economic analyst here I am, John Sneisen, and we've just recently reported on gold, and gold is continuing to rally, and it has rallied the most in 7 years, just over New Year's here, and it's been unbelievable. It's exactly what we've been talking about for a while. It's nice to see gold grow as Bitcoin kind of stays still, and then when gold stops going up, Bitcoin goes up. It's a nice, beautiful thing to see, and it's due to a lot of factors, and we'll go into that in a second. But one of those factors is the US dollar is not doing well. We've watched it continue to drop, and of course, as we so often mention, all fiat currencies eventually revert to their intrinsic value of zero. They always have, they always will, going back to 1024 AD. Gold is wealth insurance, not an investment. This is not financial advice. This is our opinion, but it's an incredible rally we're seeing. John, can you go into this?
Yeah, no, what is happening with gold is that it has really taken off. And I see the one factor is you got to remember that you said the US dollar has gone down. Mm-hmm. Well, one of the major reasons behind that is always what you saw in 2008, well, in 2007, before the bubble, the US dollar just rallied like it gained value as everybody flooded into the US dollar because it's a world reserve currency. Well, now you're seeing it's losing it again, and that always also happened in 2007 and in 2000s. So you're seeing it's predicting something that it's about to happen in the markets, and there's so many people that have been talking about the final crash coming. So I think what we're seeing is gold is telling us something that of course the bankers don't want us to see, but it's there. They can't, they're really struggling to manipulate it down, and it's rallied about $40, Josh, over the last 5 days, which is quite substantial for gold. And it's starting to wake up, the giant that's sleeping, the sleeping giant, which is gold, which always has been money. It's always, given the final punch in the gut of
for millennia,
dying fiat.
Absolutely, and just going into that quickly, over the years, especially since 2012, I mean, notably since the 1930s at the creation of the Exchange Stabilization Fund with with gold that was confiscated by the individuals in the United States by FDR. Gold, especially since 2012, though, has been manipulated by just crazy amounts of paper, ETFs, all these contracts, pushing it down. This bankster manipulation, holding a beach ball underwater as it gains pressure and readies itself to bounce up. And of course, looking at the rally for gold, that's good news for silver as well. We'll be interviewing David Morgan of the Morgan Report in a few days to talk about this, the rise of silver and what it means going into the future. But we're watching something that cannot be contained much longer. Of course, the dollar crash is inevitable. The fundamentals, however, are off the table due to the level of manipulation in the monetary system, so you can't put a date on it. You just know it's going to happen, and we've seen so many telltale signs of the coming dollar crash lately.
Oh, exactly. With debt, we've been reporting on the massive scale of debt accumulation around the world. That's a big major sign that something is about to happen. It's in its final stages in the death of a fiat currency. It's always mass debt accumulation, which we're seeing currently. And then you have, of course, the Canadian government, Morneau and these Keynesian bozos over there, saying that we're going to run a deficit here in Canada until 2046. Don't worry, it's not as bad as it was, because it was 2051, I believe, before. So it got a little bit better. It's just crazy how people believe that they could run these deficits and increase the debt of a country while they're passing the buck down to the next generation that is going to be bankrupt. Meanwhile, what they don't understand, they think they can accumulate all this debt over and over and over again, but then suddenly what will happen is a complete collapse of the currency when people finally seen the inflation from all this debt accumulation happening, and of course with the new tax cuts that Donald Trump has put in place, that's going to bring back a whole bunch of dollars slushing into the U.S.
Yeah,
economy.
temporarily, absolutely.
Yeah, but what's going to happen with that is inflation is going to start going up because it's going to move into different parts of the economy.
Yeah, because they're cutting taxes but not spending, so then you just end up with big government with low taxes. Taxation is theft, but government spending also on top of that, using people's stolen money to fund crazy things, to manipulate markets, manipulate everything, and eventually create massive bubbles is a massive problem that we face. But of course, at the moment, the Federal Reserve has been trying so hard to jack up those interest rates so that they can drop them out, but it's not enough. It'll go negative. And of course, the IMF with the SDR is trying to push in a cashless system. And interestingly enough, as you mentioned before we started this report, John, India is buying up a ton of gold right now. And isn't it so interesting that while the citizens, the individuals living within India are shoved into subservience under the cashless system where they're basically enslaved to the government and the banking system, the elite has all this gold to back them up, but not the individuals living in the country.
Well, with the 67% increase, mostly actually in jewelry demand, so that shows you they try to fight the general population, because in India you buy for weddings and so on. Yeah, and every Indian that I talk to, they have a certain amount of gold that they hold in their savings. So they've been trying to fight that with this cashless society, but it's been really hard because Indians are not buying it as much as the manipulators want them to. And now we saw like 67% in an increase in physical, not ETF, paper.
Nothingness.
Ponzi demand. It's actually physical metal that they're accumulating on a very quite rampant scale, as they were trying to get lured into this cashless thinking and this paper, like this rupee has all this value thinking. They tried to manipulate, and they're still coming back to their old roots of gold there in India, and it's good to see. It's good to see that the Indians, the Russians, the Turks, the
Chinese,
China, and others are understanding this. Meanwhile, bozos like Mr. Murnau and others,
the treasuries,
and Norway, and in Norway, Norway has sold off all of its gold. What's going to happen if somebody goes to gold standard? Those countries, Josh, are going to get taken over by someone.
It's a power shift.
Who knows? Yeah,
it's a power shift. And just looking at India, of course, they have the Aadhaar system. It's terrible. When it comes to cashless society, we're talking about a centrally planned cashless system. We're not talking about decentralized Bitcoin. So when we're talking about the cashless society in India, we're talking about the Aadhaar system where they have retina scans, just insanity. Next thing you know, it's going to be chips in the hand, scanning on these Interact machines, etc. If your money's in the bank, it's not yours, it's a bank's. And if your money's always going through the banks via digital transaction, legal tender law, centralization, nonsense, then
it's game over.
Yeah, you're basically enslaved to the government and the banking system. And the government and the banking system wants you in debt, because a populace in debt is a populace in servitude. So wrapping it up, John, where do you see gold going in 2018?
I think gold is going to continue to go up, actually, because it seems like it's predicting that crash that's going to happen in the economy. And this happened in 2007. Go and look at the old price in 2007, how it just rapidly increased right before the economy crashed. So it's predicting something that's going to happen, a major event coming. It looks like it might be in 2018.
When they can't even hold it down, even though they're manipulating it this much?
Yeah, because usually they were able to hold it so it didn't move up, but it's gone up substantially over just a couple of days since the New Year's trading opened. It's gone up $40, so which is very substantial for gold. So I see gold as trying to fight its way back against these the banker occupation over its price, trying to manipulate it. I think over the next years, I think we're going to see a lot of things happening around the world as this whole Ponzi scheme of manipulation and debt accumulation is going to come to an end, Josh.
Absolutely. Vindication is a beautiful thing, and we keep seeing it, except for, when it's like war and poverty and all that stuff. Vindication is a beautiful thing when it comes to wealth insurance, because self-sustainability and financial responsibility are the hallmarks of individual liberty and freedom itself. And before I finish it off, I want to just mention, going from 2002 to 2012, we saw gold go from $200 an ounce to $2,000 an ounce in US dollars. John, do you think that we're going to see a similar increase over the next 10 years, or are we going to see something that blows that way out of the water?
I think it's going to blow that way out of the water. What if they were to go to a gold standard, for example, which I think they might have to? They're going to have to account for all the paper, all the currency in supply. And it's a very simple formula that you can imply. Just go and look at, for example, M1, M2, M3. That's the money supply in different ways. Just how much you account for. If you just account for M1, for example, you could just take that, all the money that exists in that currency, and then you could divide it by the country's holdings of gold in ounces. Make sure you do it in ounces. You just divide that number. So it's the same as I did with Bitcoin, predicting the price of it. You just take the supply, you divide it by, you take the price, you divide it by the supply of whatever commodity there is. Yeah, and then you get the actual price. So I think if they were to go on a gold standard, I think we're going to see this the gold price just skyrocket.
Well, one thing I just have to debate there for myself personally is that the gold standard wouldn't benefit the banking system. It would be a last-ditch attempt, but I feel like they're done for. I mean, I think that we're not going to see a gold standard under them. We're going to see the complete collapse of this monetary system, the complete collapse of the markets, and then we have to rebuild as individuals with an educated mind from start and not continue the central planning that we've seen in the past. And with that comes, the diversification between, currency competition like gold, silver, Bitcoin, Dash, EOS, absolutely Steam, which has been rallying a lot lately. Just we're seeing the beginning of an incredible system, but we're going to see a lot of drama and a lot of hurt first. And we just have to be patient, understand these issues, strive through it, be financially stable. And of course, as everyone always says in our videos, you can't eat gold. Of course, you need food, water, shelter, self-defense, so you're not gathering things for the toughest guy on the block, and then gold, silver, decentralized Bitcoin, tangible assets, etc. Be prepared, folks. It's better to be over-prepared than under-prepared.
Yeah, there's a big fight happening now. It's between centralization and decentralization. You're seeing this also in the crypto aspect of things, with Ether, with Ripple fighting, Bitcoin. And Dash and a whole bunch of other decentralized ones. So we're going to see this fight between decentralization and centralization.
Down with Ripple.
Let's make decentralization win.
Yeah, absolutely. Freedom should always win. Thanks for going into this with us, John. And until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson and John Sneisen signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth.
Be the change.
Like what you see here at WAM? Don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated, especially as we are so overwhelmingly demonetized and censored by YouTube as the Anti-Defamation League comes in and flags all of our content as hate speech. You can also find me at Josh Sigurdson at steemit.com. That's steemit.com, the future of social media, where you get paid in the upvote of your post via Steem, the cryptocurrency. You can also find our Bitcoin address in the description and the comments below, as well as on the screen for you to scan if you please. And don't forget to come on down to Anarchapulco in Acapulco, Mexico in February, one of the best events of the year, and you can save money on your tickets by typing in promo code WAM. That's WAM. We'll leave the link below for you, and until next time, don't forget to subscribe. This is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.